Angel Reese said, hey, she'll play the villain role. Kennedy Carter certainly embraces that as well. Chad, right after we're discussing Angel Reese and the villain in the storyline and the plot that brings eyeballs to the product of Caitlin Clark on tour across the WNBA, she's ejected for the first time in her WNBA career, Angel Reese. And you've got Lonzo Ball. I can't think of the last time we've discussed him. Goes back a ways. He's now inserted himself in the storyline. He's willing to pay to the fine that's could be headed her way, even though the second technical has been rescinded. So there's late in the fourth quarter, she's called for her fifth foul, and she's going for a rebound with another player. And she let the ref know about it in frustration. She gets the technical and the wave as she walks away, gets teed up. Next thing you know, the wave, that's enough for a second technical. Back-to-back techs. Early to the locker room, but honestly late to the locker room where it was in this ball game. Point being, she disrespected the official. That was the official response to this. But the WNBA has already rescinded the second technical in this whole storyline. So after Lonzo Ball wanted to jump in and say, hey, I'll keep being you, I'm going to pay your fine. Reese doesn't need to do that. Don't bring the Ball family in here. Angel Reese, continue to embrace this because the text that will continue to head your way, Draymond Green style, is right in the alley and the path of what the WNBA will lead into. Because Caitlin Clark's not going to get texts. And whenever they match up again, it's the hero versus villain. And we'll see how much Angel Reese plays into it the next head-to-head matchup.
I'm willing to bet at some point with Caitlin Clark's mouth and her getting more and more frustrated with officials, she will draw some technical fouls along the way, saying something to a ref. But, yeah, I mean, it's clear lines right now. Angel Reese is the villain. Caitlin Clark is the hero. And Angel Reese continued to play into it last night by getting ejected. And it's almost like it's all scripted. This is perfect for the WNBA. She's all the talk. She's the one standing up there in front of reporters saying, I need all of you guys to realize there's two of us that changed the game of women's basketball. And it's not just Caitlin Clark. I was a part of that 2 years ago in the national championship game, and it's going to continue to be that way from here on out. I kind of love it. I don't agree with her. It's way more Caitlin Clark than it is Angel Reese, but I like the fact that she's willing now to play more of the villain, and then she gets herself tossed from the game. And then
$300 fine for that.
With the Ball kid.
I love that.
The Ball kid offering to pay it, like we're about to get into a story about a feminist group being pissed off about something. Where are the feminist groups upset about that? Oh, big bad man needs to come in and pay the fine for the W star in the league. I want Angel Reese to step up and say, I don't need no man's money. I don't need that money. I can pay my own fine. I get myself ejected. I'll pay the fine. Well, I don't need some guy coming in offering to pay it. Where's the feminist group when it comes to that?
Well, the fine is worth a bottle.
I'm ready for the feminist groups to get up in arms about this one.
Well, where's the group that's upset that Lonzo Ball didn't jump in last week whenever she was fined $1,000 by the league for not following the league's media availability policy? Yeah. $1,000 fine there. No one stepping up and say, hey, Angel, this is stupid. I'm going to pay it for you. Don't worry about it. Lonzo's jumping in for a $300 fine. It's the price of a Silver Oak cab. I mean, that's more or less what Lonzo's sending Angel Reese and all this.
Well, that's what makes me laugh is he gets himself in the news by offering to pay a $300 tab.
Right.
And all the talk around media and everything else is about respecting women's basketball, respecting the game, not talking down about it, paying it its due. Monica McNutt telling Stephen A. Smith, Stephen, you could have been talking about this 3 or 4 years ago, and you're just now talking about it now. And here's some dude offering to pay a $300 fine tab
a Chicago Bull
for a woman in the WNBA. No one says a word about that. Is this chivalry? I mean, I don't know. If I'm Angel Reese and I'm playing the villain, I'm saying, dude, I had better endorsements than you have when I was in college. Look at my NIL tab and what I made at LSU after I talked trash to Caitlin Clark. And look at all that I've done. You can keep your $300. I'll pay it. I mean, if you're going to go heel, let's go I mean, we're talking Ric Flair level heel.
Well, you got
I mean,
Lonzo.
flash it, talk about it, do everything. Show everybody that you got the money, you got the attitude, you got this and that. I'm all for it. Let's lean into this wrestling persona that we're seeing right now and not shy away from it.
Well, she should rip apart the Big Baller brand, because instead of NIL, they just created their own brand and sold their own shoes.
Is LeVar Ball still around? I haven't heard from him a lot lately. Remember when he was doing First Take with Stephen A. Smith?
Oh, yes.
Like they were going back and forth all the time. And remember when he said he could beat Michael Jordan in one-on-one?
Yes, I did.
All this stuff's coming back to my mind, but I haven't heard his name in quite some time.
Let me look him up real quick for you. Where is LeVar Ball? He's been
very
talking to
quiet.
someone somewhere. Both of his kids are dealing with injuries right now, Lonzo and LaMelo. So he has no regrets as they deal with injuries, and he blames the NBA conditioning and raggedy shoes. That's the latest, Chad. That was in April.
So that he can't wear I'm guessing that means they can't wear their own brand. This is him making fun of, Nike, I guess, or league-appropriate shoes. I don't know what that means because I thought they had their own shoe brand. He's not going to
they do. They're Big Baller brand.
LiAngelo Ball is the one I was thinking about, too, who's apparently not in the league right now.
How about LaMelo? Recently signed a 5-year. He could sign a 5-year contract. This was last summer, and he could get up to $260 million.
Good for him
on that. NBA money right there, man.
Yeah. You pay a lot of $300 fines in that contract.
Yeah, no doubt. Pat McAfee's paying the tax of apologizing, Chad, and this time it's with a women's group that is calling him saying that there was misogyny in his comments for what he said and how he described Caitlin Clark, which is she's accepted his apology, by the way. That's not good enough for this far left women's rights activist group who, what are they saying? They're calling for not just his potential job, but they're saying that what and how it was handled in the apology simply is not enough, and they're demanding more. Even though the apologies that McAfee put forward, one was to Caitlin Clark, has been accepted.
Yeah,
by a woman.
The group's name is Ultraviolet.
Ultraviolet, yes.
All one word. And they have put out a statement saying Pat McAfee's apology for his racist and sexist comment. Can't even say white now. Even if you're a white guy, you can't call someone white. For his racist and sexist comments about Caitlin Clark and other WNBA players is insufficient. The simple reality is that even if McAfee meant what he said as a compliment, he should know that referring to any pro athlete with a misogynistic or racial epithet is never a compliment and shouldn't be done. Do these groups only exist to issue statements? I really want to know what Ultraviolet is accomplishing in their space. Like what tangibly have they done to help sexual relations between men and women? I don't have a list of their accomplishments around here.
We're mentioning them now.
But it's amazing to me the amount of groups that seem to only exist to issue PR statements, calling for people's jobs or condemning something.
Right.
And then trying to get a response from that. These are the people you're appeasing, Pat, when you apologize. Which is why I would never apologize for what you said. If you wanted to make a personal apology on air to Caitlin Clark,
maybe this is Norby Williams.
Because you thought it could be because we knew he had to have a second act somewhere, right?
Maybe Norby Williamson is behind this.
ESPN to Ultraviolet. He's like, finally, I got him. I'm going to get that Mac.
We're going to have my statement read now.
He's twisting his mustache right now as the head of Ultraviolet. He's like, I'm going to get that McAfee fired one way or the other.
Bamati Jones is about to join this new media group.
That SOB crossed the wrong guy once I got in charge of Ultraviolet.
The Monica McNutt makes me think. You have Stephen A., by the way, who went on his podcast and said, have you ever heard of Monica McNutt? You have now. That's what he said on his
Who said that?
Stephen A.
Oh,
on his podcast after First Take.
That's pretty funny.
Have we ever heard of Ultraviolet? We have now.
Just now. Well, look, again, McAfee, advice to anyone, I would not have apologized to people who were offended. If you thought that you went across whatever threshold you have with personal interaction of how you talk about athletes or coaches with Caitlin Clark individually, I would have been fine with issuing an apology to her on your show. That, hey, I want everyone to know this was an attempt for me to compliment her and using language that I've heard or we've used And if she's offended by it, I want to apologize to her. But I also want to apologize to no one else. Because once you start apologizing, as we see here with Ultraviolet, it's never enough. Your apology is never enough. Now they want your job. And they're calling for your job now. So it's a good lesson in not bowing down to those who are so easily offended.
Yes. Do they release a statement after literally any rap song is released?
Well,
Are they releasing a statement on Eminem's new album?
I listened to that new track, Houdini, today for the first time.
How is it?
Pretty good. They sample about 6 different songs in it, so it's going to be very recognizable.
So 6 statements are necessary.
Huh?
6 statements are now necessary.
Oh, no. I mean, Eminem, it basically says everything that Dave Chappelle said during the song.
Does Ultraviolet issue a statement?
Oh, no, absolutely.
A press release?
I should go to their website, Hutton, and see how many statements they've put out lately.
You Google Ultraviolet and UV light, as it should, pops up with thousands of pages that you could scroll through. It's hard to find the
if you work for any company, that the sheer method by which you do work is to only issue statements demanding apology or for people to be fired, you should find something more constructive to do with your life. We used to make things in America and not just produce statements. So to Ultraviolet or any other group, I don't care if it's far right, far left, dead center, whatever. If you work for an organization that does nothing to help people other than to condemn actions and words and demand apologies or demand firings, I am telling you right now to quit your job and go do something useful for society. Please.
Their job.
On behalf of everyone.
They are lobbying on behalf of the WNBA. That's their job. Right at the top of their nonprofit site, Chad. ESPN and Warner, invest in women's basketball.
Oh, gosh.
Tell ESPN, you could sign this petition. Tell ESPN, invest in women's basketball. Pay the WNBA what it's worth for broadcast rights, not just for today, but for future generations. That is their campaign. That's Ultraviolet, who we are, giving fuel to.
Well, their campaign is basically ignore the business metrics, ignore ratings, ignore what anything costs. You need to pay this group the same as you would the NBA because we're telling you to, because this is the investment needed into the WNBA, even if it makes zero business sense to invest this much money. That's what they're asking of the private sector.
Yes.
To do for the WNBA. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, but they want, they're not responding to Pat McAfee, the live product. They're responding to his apology. The response to the apology wasn't good enough. It was good enough for Caitlin Clark, apparently.
I'm shocked to hear that members of Ultraviolet aren't big McAfee viewers. Too busy watching or listening to Fresh Air on NPR, I'm guessing.
What was the SNL skit? With
Sweaty
Molly
Balls?
Shannon. No, Sweaty Balls. What was the name of that show?
Oh, it was like a Fresh Air type show. I'm going to look it up now. But it was definitely public radio.
No doubt. NPR type show. This is one thing McAfee wouldn't respond to.
Delicious Dish.
There you go.
Was one of them. NPR's Delicious Dish was the show they hosted.
Yeah,
I'm looking at him right now with the sweater vest on.
Yes.
Molly Shannon. And damn, putting some respect on some women. There were some funny women on SNL during that stretch. Like, there was a 15-year stretch where I would argue that women saved SNL.
And you know them
from Amy Poehler and Maya Rudolph. Kristen Wiig was the best thing on the show for a while.
Sherry O'Terry.
Yeah. Some
Anna
really
Gasteyer,
funny
Molly
women.
Shannon. I mean, you could go, yes.
There was that late 80s, early 90s period where it was more male-dominated. Chris Farley, Adam Sandler, David Spade, Dana Carvey, Phil Hartman. But then it went into an era where the women saved that show.
But you had Will Ferrell with them. That was the wheelhouse.
But, I mean, probably like 98, 99 to 2015, I would say, was pretty heavily women-dominated on SNL. And that was part of that stretch.
Don't give Ultraviolet any more ideas, Chad.
Look, I'm just trying to keep Ultraviolet off our back, okay?
NBC
so if Ultraviolet watches this entire YouTube...
Saturday Night Live.
If Ultraviolet is watching the entire YouTube version of this show today, I want you to listen all the way through this, where I gave women so much credit for saving SNL. So then maybe they won't issue a statement on our show.
Chad,
Again, it's racist to call somebody by their race now.
I guess the other race wasn't. The other races were not mentioned.
I mean, I guess I'd get it if he was saying a different race other than his.
Is Ultraviolet releasing a statement to Kennedy Carter, who said the same word and description to the same player, Caitlin Clark, on the floor?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Well, who was the group? There was a bunch of groups that got involved too. I'm trying to think of on-court words said. Remember when Kobe Bryant, when the official was mic'd up?
Oh,
and he was on mic saying some words that got people upset.
There's also, I mean, you have the Dodgers who would take this organization and allow them to be a bright spot in the community.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
let them throw out the first pitch.
I mean,
5 hours before the game.
Compared to what the Dodgers allowed one time, this organization would be like faith night for them. I mean, this is far better than what they've allowed in the past. I don't, to my knowledge,
Pat
Ultraviolet
McAfee
is
apology night.
Yeah, I don't think
at the ballpark.
I don't think they're sacrilegious. I think they're crazy lunatics.
Tonight,
but I don't think that they're sacrilegious like the one the Dodgers invited.
It's apology night, Chad, here at the ballpark.
Yeah.
Every man that enters the ballpark tonight will issue an apology, and we will grade it based on our standards.
If you've ever said a bad word, please come to the press box right now and issue your apology. Please
bring in all albums and lyrics that you may have and descriptions from Chronic 2001. Please bring those and turn those in.
We will construct an idol in center field like Wicker Man with Nicolas Cage, and we'll burn every man here in a witch-like ceremony to honor tonight's apology session.
We will destroy every album that Eminem has been a part of tonight.
Man, Eminem goes hard in this latest song. I only caught about half the lyrics. This is how I know I'm getting older. Because Eminem, I love Eminem back in the day, all of his albums. I listen to him now, and it sounds like the old Eminem, but I catch like a third of what's being said. I'm pretty sure my mind could have caught every single lyric before. Now I can only make out about a third of the lyrics.
Just random. Isn't it odd that Eminem, he said he would rap so much about his daughter, Haley, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have we ever seen her? Have we ever seen Kim?
I've seen his daughter because now she's like in her 20s.
But not like it's not like a pop culture phenomenon, right?
Up.
No, I'm not saying he made it up. It's just odd that the accounts aren't followed or anything like that. I've never heard of anyone saying, "Can you believe what Haley Mathers said on this issue?"
I'm looking at his daughter right now. She has 3.3 million followers on Instagram.
What does she do?
Haley Jade. She has a podcast, and she's a home decoration expert.
Speaking of Ultraviolet.
I mean, I think this is his daughter. She's wearing Detroit Lions gear.
There she is, yeah. Okay.
That's her now.
See, I've never seen her discussed. What about Kim? Is Kim still alive?
3.3 million followers.
Kim's got to be on there, too.
That's a good question. And his mom. Remember, he got sued by his mother.
Maybe Kim is behind. Maybe Kim Mathers is behind Ultraviolet.
I wonder how much money Kim got. Eminem's ex-wife, Kim Scott. She does not look as good as the daughter. That's the preview.
Okay.
That is the preview. Well, all the images that pop up are like her
Eminem went in hard, man.
Looking crazy in the courtroom photos.
Yeah. What about the young version, though, with both of them? You see them down there in the hat?
Yeah. That looks about right.
Okay.
But yeah, she's
yeah.
She didn't go with the full beard polish the way Eminem did, to make himself look younger.
Paint the beard.
The shoe polish beard and then the dyeing of the hair.
Didn't shine it up.
She just aged. She just said, I'm getting older, just gonna age. I'm not stopping it. This is a runaway train.
Maybe if I do this, he'll stop. He'll stop writing about me.
I'm Soul Asylum, baby. It's a runaway train. It's done.
I don't want anyone to know I'm alive.
It has left the tracks, and I'm doing nothing to prevent it. Those are the vibes I'm getting.
No one's going to light a match and burn this home down anymore.
Oh no. Okay, we got a photo now. This is the worst one I've seen. Yeah, these guys really found.
She took Eminem's hair.
Yeah, and Justin Timberlake's from the '90s. She was such a big fan of the '90s in her heyday that she stole the haircut of Justin Timberlake while in NSYNC, and Lance Bass.
And Lance Bass.
Both.
Yes. I tell you, I'm not going after Kim here.
Oh hell no!
I'm losing this fight.
No, she looks like someone who stabbed somebody before.
Probably out of necessity and self-defense.
She's definitely cut someone in or outside of a bowling alley. That's the sense I get looking at that photo. And just hearing
Kenny Powers' mother was portrayed and scripted based on the life of Kim Scott.
The way Marshall Mathers has rapped about her, I feel like she's probably cut someone inside or outside of a bowling alley.
Oh. Yeah, a bowling alley.
Wasn't Kim Basinger played
Pat McAfee,
Eminem's mom in the
please
movie,
issue
right?
another apology.
Yeah, let's get back on the apology. Didn't Kim Basinger play Eminem's mom? Wasn't that supposed to be like his mom, Kim, in the movie 8 Mile? I know Kim Basinger was in the movie. I think she was nominated for an Academy Award. She was the mom. I know that, but I'm thinking if it was – because it was sort of loosely based on his life.
Yeah, right.
So I think she was kind of his mom stand-in. Because remember, she was like sleeping with his buddy.
Yes.
They were together in the movie, in the trailer. Yeah. Good movie.
Great
maybe this is
everything.
The Death of Slim Shady is the album. There's Kim. Not the Kim you just saw. That looks like Lance Bass and Justin Timberlake had a baby, and the baby was 60 years old. This is Kim Basinger. That era, though, Eminem, if it's the Death of Slim Shady, maybe now he's entering a new phase where he's going to make more movies like 8 Mile. Because that was a great movie.
But the Death of Slim Shady, he's now, it's the birth of whatever he's doing, and you say on this track he goes in hard.
He does.
So he hasn't changed.
He says a lot of things that
he's not going country.
I would say 2 years ago would have gotten you canceled.
He's not going country.
I don't think he's going. I don't think he's joining Post Malone.
This isn't Nelly with Tim McGraw.
Post Malone's country now. He's not going country.
Yes, Nelly with what was the song with Tim McGraw? Over and Over Again or whatever that song was.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of.
He went from St. Louis.
There's a lot of genre bending going on. I mean, Beyonce's got a country album now, and it's like one of 2 parts. I think our next one's going to be another country album as well.
You've listened to it some.
I have. I listened to the whole thing.
How would you 1 out of 10?
As an album, 4.
Okay.
But there's 3 or 4 songs that are pretty good, and I would say 1 or 2 that are really good.
That lift the average.
But it's like a 25-song album. So the hit percentage isn't great, but there are 1 or 2 really good songs on it.
The inaugural 12-team college football playoff, it will begin with the first round, of course, that first round game, Friday, December 20th. Friday night, December 20th, 8 p.m. Eastern, ABC and ESPN. That continues Saturday on the 21st. TNT Sports will have games at noon and 4 p.m., and then ABC and ESPN will broadcast the third game of Saturday's triple header, 8 o'clock. And those 4 first-round games are going to be played on campus, and that will be announced on Selection Day. December 8th is Selection Day for these games. And then ESPN gets the 4 playoff quarterfinals, the 2 playoff semifinals, and then the 2025 College Football National Championship, which will take place at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. And this will be the first stadium that will host the championship game in this era for a second time.
You know what I'm looking forward to with this new announcement here? New theme music for college football on TNT. I immediately thought about the Prime Video Thursday night games, and when they debuted the new theme song for that. And we know what the ESPN college football theme sounds like. But now TNT has a chance to rewrite and have some college football playoff theme music.
So put the schedule up
I hope they go big and get like Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross to score their
or Eminem
the song. Yeah. Or they could just have an existing song and play it.
So just looking at some of the bowls involved here. Of course, the Rose Bowl. You have the Sugar Bowl, the Peach Bowl, Cotton Bowl, which was expected, Orange Bowl, Fiesta. Chad, these can rotate too. These can rotate in and out. And for instance, Nashville's getting a dome. Who's to say that the Music City Bowl could not bid and several years from now host one of these games? Either the quarterfinal or the playoff semifinal.
No, and I think they will.
Or championship.
Yeah, they're going to have a national championship game. Look, when Nashville finishes their stadium, they're going to get a Super Bowl. They're going to get a national championship. They're going to get a WrestleMania. They're going to get multiple big events, a Final Four. They're going to get everything eventually in due time. But I am most interested in campuses hosting those early games.
No doubt.
So those 2 TNT and ESPN games in late December, am so much more interested in those than even the quarterfinals or semifinals.
And really,
because it's going to look just like the playoff has looked in those games, neutral site, bowl destinations with the teams. But teams hosting early round college football playoff games in the top 12, bring it on.
Also, keep in mind, just two things that come to mind for me. Number one, the championship games for the conferences. The loser of those games will likely be hosting one of these college football playoff games in that first round. So you're probably going to Ann Arbor or Columbus or maybe Iowa in this past year's case, or you're going to Athens or Oxford or maybe Austin. Just thinking about the stadiums involved there, which will be awesome. Number two, a lot of these, in thinking about matchups, how many West Coast teams are going to be represented versus how many games are going to be played on the West Coast for these neutral site games?
Yeah, not many.
Vegas, Los Angeles. If you start Phoenix, there's a lot of travel involved too, and a lot of travel in multiple weekends for fan bases that traditionally are traveling to either the college football semifinal and then the championship game, or you're just used to going to your bowl game.
Yeah, Oregon and USC are the only two West Coast teams I would say that you would put maybe in a regular rotation of making the top 12. But Lincoln Riley hasn't proven anything.
No.
At USC yet. Dan Lanning has. I mean, I'm confident putting Oregon and Dan Lanning in that mix of 12 as a West Coast team, but there's not many. What it does, though, to the sports calendar in December, which is already a crowded month. End of December is going to be conference championship. Start of December, first Saturday, conference championship weekend. Great. December 14th has become a premier college basketball day where you get all of these major non-conference battles. And I could go through the list this year, but December 14th of this upcoming year is stacked. Tennessee's at Illinois, Kentucky and Louisville play, UConn and Gonzaga, I think, play that day. There's all these huge college basketball matchups kind of kicking off the season for that. Plus Army-Navy is that weekend. And now what was a graveyard that consisted of the Las Vegas Bowl and something else on December 21st, and the NFL becomes on this schedule, 3 college football playoff games. 1 on Friday, 3 on Saturday. Really cool.
3 on Saturday.
So it helps out a jam-packed December.
The triple header on the 21st is interesting because there's also a double header for the NFL on NBC and Fox. So you have TNT and ESPN ABC for the triple header for college, and you have Fox and NBC with a double header on Saturday, December 21st this year, with teams involving the Kansas City Chiefs and the Texans and Pittsburgh and Baltimore. That's interesting.
Yeah,
that they chose those dates, and they did the triple header there instead of going head to head with a different day or time. Which is tough to schedule. This is what we're going to get every year now.
The only thing they could do is Friday.
A Friday.
But
you have 2 and 2.
That is a work day, for a lot of people. So that would be tough if they could go a triple header with nothing else against them.
And 2 of the games
on a Friday, but work for people.
And the 2 games on TNT are head to head with the NFL.
I'm way more interested in those playoff games than an NFL regular season game. But as we've seen, the NFL will likely win and win big, head to head.
And they'll have potentially, unless she's writing the breakup album, Taylor Swift involved. Plus, you have the AFC North and playoffs on the line in that game.
TNT needs to break the bank to have Taylor perform halftime on one of those games on a campus.
Instead of going to Arrowhead to watch Kelsey play the Texans.
It's a money play.
Maybe.
She doesn't have enough of it. She needs more.